Call Alol Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Bashem Rakakwadash. This is Malak Magani from GMS Toronto, GMS Toronto 2, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. I say also double honor to the apostles and elders who rule well in spirit and in truth, and in the time of hastening unto his coming. Real quick, I'm going to try and make this lesson real short, but just in case you missed it, one of the headlines, okay, the inspiration of this video anyway that I'm making comes from the book of Revelation. It just reminded me of Revelation chapter 6 and verse 15. But we're going to start with Matthew 24:7 real quick, reading over it. But before I do that, one day ago, as you were looking at the reports here, it says search and rescue efforts continue after a building in Surfside, all right, in Florida. Resident Sarah Nir, N-I-R, told CNN that she heard a big boom, okay, and it says, and saw another witness, Cassandra Stratton, who was in her unit at the time. So the key is, I've heard several reports about the booms, 3 booms, right? I was looking for that report that I saw on the news earlier, but I couldn't find it here, right? But like I said, the big thing is the boom, and mainly what I'm going to bring out in Revelation, right? I'm just using that scripture in this rehearsal onto hastening unto his coming for the real thing, right? Okay, so the real thing, I mean, this is simply judgment, okay? Now, Matthew 24:7 says, for nation shall rise against nation, as we see here in this prophecy. So that's one prophecy right there. And kingdom against kingdom, all right? So that's 2. And there shall be famines, okay? Famine for food as well. And pestilences, right? These are forms of plagues. We're in the time of COVID as well. And there's the point, earthquakes in different places, right? So earthquake happened in Florida, right? Surfside, Florida. All right, so that's what's going on there. And you can read that account as well in regards to the same prophecy in Matthew 13:8. Mark 13:8. Okay. All right, so let me just click on this. So you'll see the latest on the partial building collapse, right? So as you can see here, when you guys can do your research. My point is not to sensationalize the pictures and use all this stuff. I'm not into that. I'm just going to bring you the scripture. So, like I said, when I saw this happen, I was contemplate something similar in regards to the big picture to come, and no doubt about it. All the ways all the ways of the Lord are judgment. I using the scripture from Deuteronomy 32:4 that has to do with basically Israel, okay? But the Lord is the one that's in control, and that's the point. And when you go into the book of Amos, and there's many other scriptures where the Lord is in control. Amos 3:6 says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people are not afraid, right? And again, first and foremost, this is speaking to Israel, the nation of Israel, namely the elect. The elect is going to be led by his spirit in the sense of leading out forth in understanding what the trumpet is, right? And sure enough, you have the men of the Lord in Florida as well that's pushing the truth and blowing the trumpet. And the trumpet's making a certain sound to let not only Israel know, but according to Jeremiah, I think it's Jeremiah 1:4, we're also prophets of the nations. But when we see something happening, we always filter through the scriptures simply to understand that, right? So if there's evil done or destruction or judgment, has the Lord not done it? And this is a question. Of course the Lord has done it. He has sanctioned it. Okay? He is the one that gives the orders, man. Whether you like it or not. Okay? He gives the order and he makes things happen. and it's definitely a fearful thing to fall in his hands. But anyway, let me close out here, because like I said, I'm not going to make the video long, but you think about what I'm going to tell you, right? Because we're definitely in the hour of temptation, right? Revelation 3:10, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. And we're in that time more than ever, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Okay, we're in that time more than ever. Okay, if you understand what's going on. So, simply put, the hour of temptation, as you can see with this pandemic that's on the scene right now. Then you have vaccines being. There's a group of people, especially in America right now, that is being brought to the forefront, where you have people who are vaccinated and people who are not vaccinated. So this is definitely in the hour of temptation. But let me get back on course here to just close out in the scriptures. So when you go to the book of Revelation, you go to the book of Revelation. One moment there. Let me just get this. Let me get this. Actually, Revelation 6 and 15 in closing, right? And I'm going to explain it this way. Okay, let me just get that. 1 second there. It's coming up. Bear with me. Revelation 6. Excuse me. Revelation 6 and 15. It's around there. I don't know. My screen went away from me when I don't know. This thing is freezing up. I'm not sure what it was. All right. So let me just get to the precept in closing and explain why. So it says here. All right. We use this scripture to show the big picture. The big picture. Okay. Revelation 6 and 15, it says, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man that hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. Verse 16 says, and said to the rocks and mountains, fall on us, hide us from the face of him that sitteth upon the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. So the one that sits on the throne is Yahweh, right? And Yahushua is the Lamb, and his wrath is when he makes his second visit. And so when I read verse 14, I thought of this building collapsing, okay? And, those homes are, that apartment building became like an instant bunker. Okay, I know it's kind of cold here, what I'm saying, but just think about it, right? They can't find these people, right? But the Lord is showing his power. And if you guys can see the reports about the 3 boom sounds for whatever it means, okay, this is not a ordinary destruction, regardless of what they're saying. But anyway, that's my point on this, okay? Basically, so like I said, I had to just qualify that. That's the understanding. That's the scripture that comes to mind in this rehearsal, hastening unto his coming. So anyway, let me leave it at that. So with that, I'm going to say shalom. Hopefully this lesson was edifying, and may the spirit of Yahweh Bashem be with you in the time of his visitation. So with that, call the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Akakodash, shalom.